you. Hi, folks. I'm Lalitha Rajagopalan. I'm one of the co-founders at ORO. And today, we want to talk about impact because I think putting AI to work is all about the actual impact that you can deliver. So if you look at, trying to come up with an analogy, how do we think about framing the problem? What is the impact that AI can deliver? I actually think AI is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I was thinking about the appropriate analogy. The reason I think sliced bread is the right analogy is the sheer ubiquitousness, and it's just available, and it's a platform on top of which you can build a lot of things. And that's why I think sliced bread is the perfect analogy for it, and we'll unpack it as we go along.
And I'm Sudhir Bhojwani. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ORO Labs. Today, we actually will show you some of the AI agents in action. But before we do that, let's talk about the theory a little bit. I want to talk about let's start the journey with what a business process looks like. It's nothing but, I would say, people working together in collaboration or in concert to get a job done. In this example, people are working together to get the job done. When we started ORO almost 5 years back now, our imagination of a business process was, hey, it is a graph where all the tasks are performed. Each task is represented as a node in the graph. And tasks can be performed by a human being within our system, ORO, or it could be a task performed by a human being in another system. So we always believed in the vision where humans have to work together in a business process. But the reality is, business process is more than one business process. There are a bunch of business processes that are interconnected, where an output from one business process, as an example, sourcing, goes as an input, contracting, or output of third-party risk goes as an input to contracting. So all these things work together in concert to get the job done.
So if you think about it, like, how do you define agents? Agents is pretty much the same thing. It's a job description. It's responsible for completing a task. It's provided, like, you hire a new employee, what do? You tell them this is your job, you give them some training, you give them some instructions, and then you give them all the data, information they need to do their job, and they're responsible for producing some output, and they're asked to give status updates, you measure their performance to make sure that they are accurate and all of the stuff, and you are expecting that that employee is going to be able to learn and improve continuously, and if there are exceptions, that they will escalate, they will collaborate with somebody to solve for it. And like anything else, you need them to work well with others. So an agent, if you think about it, this is pretty much the same. And the most important thing here is you measure, you improve, and if there are escalations, you are able to essentially be able to pull in the right process, people, systems, whatever it is, to resolve that. So this, I think, is a simplistic, but it's, I think, a more accurate description of what an agent is, because not all AI is, an agent. Like, just because you recommended the right category or the supplier doesn't automatically make it an agent. So I think there's a bar, and it's actually a job. It's just not a mini task, if you will, right?
So the reality is, as it turns out, AI agents work very similar to human agents. Sorry for using human agent as a language. Apologize if somebody is offended. But in this analogy, so they need to be trained. They need to be trained. They need instructions. They need instructions. They're provided data. They produce output. If needed, they should be able to escalate. Very similar. No rocket science here. Very, very similar. So when you apply this into a business process, we believe a business process could look something like this, where some of the human agents are replaced with AI agents. This is today, possible today. People tell me, hey, my data is not clean. Granted, nobody's data is clean. No news there. But it's possible. You should have the flexibility, though, to decide which human tasks you want to replace with AI agents. And then you should have the flexibility to decide which AI agents are we going to replace. Who builds these AI agents? Is ORO the sole proprietor of building all AI agents? Obviously not. AI agents can come from ORO. They can come from you. They can come from third parties. They can come from anybody. You should have the flexibility to assemble this the way you will like it. So that's how we visualize a business process in our world. So with that in mind, we would like to actually show you how humans and agents can work together to accomplish the job better, faster, simpler. So with that in mind, I would like to invite a guest, a very special guest on main stage, Ryan.
My name is Ryan Whitmore, so I work for Bayer, or as some know it, Bayer. My role is Procurement Generative AI and Process Orchestration. I'm part of the team Infrastructure, Innovation, and Design. So what we're trying to do today and what we want to show you is what we call Procurement Front Door. So that to us is ORO, and what we're trying to accomplish with it is make procurement work for our people.
Yeah. So Ryan, I mean, there's enterprise, and then there is enterprise, the class of buyer, okay? Love to kind of share a little bit more. I mean, when I talk to my parents or friends when talk about buyer, they think it's an aspirin company. I think it's a far bigger and more complex organization than that. Share us something about buyer.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're more than just, as most people think, as aspirin. So we have 3 divisions. We have our crop science, our pharmaceutical, and our consumer health business. We operate in over 80 countries around the world across 291 entities. As of the end of last year, we have roughly 93,000 full-time employees and almost half as much contractors. So we are really heavily focused on R&D right now. So we spent about $6.2 billion in R&D last year. From a sales perspective, we have about $46 billion in sales. Our company right now is trying to tackle 2 world challenges right now, and that is health and nutrition for all.
Ryan, clearly amazing company. A lot of people may not know. But let's talk about procurement at Bayer now.
Absolutely. So procurement at Bayer is a strategic powerhouse. So we manage roughly about $24 billion in spend. And one thing that's very surprising for people is we have over 88,000 suppliers. So if you think about our full-time employee, we have almost as many suppliers as we do full-time employees. From a standpoint of working with our systems, over 1/3 of our employees actually interact with our procurement systems. From a transaction volume perspective, we have about 1.8 million purchase orders per year and 5 million invoices per year. One of the things that I think shows the scale of our company is how many sites we have. So we have over 170 manufacturing sites, and then since we're in crop science and in healthcare, we have over 3,000 growers, which have their own unique requirements versus healthcare professionals and healthcare organizations. You may see this in the news. We're going through a major company transformation. So one of the things that procurement's trying to do is add value through increasing profitability of the company. And we're doing that through something called dynamic shared ownership, where we're now trying to empower our employees to really act in the best interest in the company by reducing bureaucracy. And how we're achieving this is really through digital solutions that empower our employees to make the best decision possible for the company with as little bureaucracy as possible.
So Ryan, besides 23 billion, which I'm sure everybody catches that, one other thing that caught my eye is 418 categories of spend. Now, I am in a software company. I can tell you 5. I can name 5. How do you get to 418 categories?
Absolutely. So since we have the 3 divisions, and again, operating across the world, this is the complexity that we need to manage. So 418 categories is actually a recent reduction.
All right, all right, all right. Fair enough. How do I know a software engineer and a software company?
So one of the things that was very inspiring for us with Bayer is top down, from the CEO down, their mission was to basically aspire for zero bureaucracy. That was the mandate, and that really gave procurement a lot of charter and ownership to really transform the experience. And I thought this was really inspiring how you went about it.
Absolutely. So how we want to make procurement work using our front door system is we want to use AI to guide our users to the right buying channel to help them make the purchase as seamless as possible. The next thing we want to do is orchestrate, so they're in one platform that's executing things in multiple different platforms, but the user only needs to be in one system. The other thing as part of our company changes is full visibility, so every employee can see everything going on in the system. The next thing is we want to proactively prevent errors, but at the same time, if a problem does happen, using AI, we clean up the error message and help the user figure out what actually needs to be done to get the transaction moving forward. The last thing is we want to make front door work for our procurement employees. So we want to increase automation with it using AI and then really making the transaction as efficient as possible.
When we started ORO, and you guys, some of you may have heard this story before, one of the North Star inspiring stories for us was Emily's story. Emily is an actual real scientist at Bayer, and she was super frustrated trying to buy a piece of equipment and all the runaround that she had. And what was interesting was that Emily, we cannot assume business users just buy simple things like catalog, office supplies, and stuff like that. Emily is a scientist. She was buying very complex stuff. So now that we are here, love to see where the journey went.
Absolutely. So I'm going to show a purchase that Emily needs to make. So she works in a lab, and she's now trying to buy a microscope.
So she has a proposal from a supplier that she wants to work with.
Yep, exactly. So she already has the proposal on hand, and now she just needs to upload it into Front Door. So when we submit the request here, the system's trying to do a couple things. So the first thing it's trying to do is extract out what is this document that's been uploaded. You can see the document on the left-hand side. So this is just a basic microscope that they're trying to purchase. The next thing is the system's going to allow the user to change who they're buying on behalf of. At least at our company, it's quite prevalent that the user needs to buy on behalf of someone else. So now we're just waiting on the system. So now you can see my information. The next thing is it's going to propose the category. So as you saw, we have 418 categories. We were able to narrow it down to 3 different categories. So since I'm a procurement expert, I know it's small laboratory instruments. Now the system is, from this quote uploaded, it has tried to generate a title, right? So we're trying to help the user with speed here. You can see we got the 2 line items that were in the offer on the left-hand side. And what's even more impressive for us is there was a 25% discount, and the system was able to automatically take the discount. We as a company don't really do discounting, so the way we do is we take it away from the unit price. So now I'm going to click Next. And here it's found the supplier, so I'm in our test system, Test Supplier US. And then we have some policies to go through, so I confirm our code of conduct. And now lastly, since I've provided an offer, the way we've set up the system, we're just trying to help them generate the requisition. So I'm going to click Proceed with Requisition, and if they're interested, they can see the process steps below. So now the system's defaulting my information, so my plant code, the deliver to, and now I'm just going to say I need it by next Friday, then select the GL account and click Submit. So it was a pretty quick experience, coming from they would have to enter that stuff in all manually previously. Now the system was able to guide them through. Lastly, something we just worked on with ORO is this new feedback mechanism. So users can actually say, hey, this was a great experience. I'm going to mark this as a 10.
So what you see is a very simple experience for a scientist who doesn't want to learn procurement. Can you share some of the feedback you've received since you're live on the platform now?
Absolutely. So our users so far are very happy. They were surprised with how quick the system is. The other thing, they were surprised with the accuracy of the quote extractor. So they're uploading it, and we're very rarely hearing even miss a line item. We've even had some requisitions with over 50 line items extracted all automatically for them.
And one interesting thing he gave, which he didn't say right now, may I share that? People are saying it's too fast. Maybe it should take a little bit longer. So it's really funny. If you notice, the estimated time was 0 days. That means it's going to happen on the same day. We saw the front end of the process, how Emily can work with the system. Let's see what happens in the back to make this a reality. So Ryan, maybe you can tell us what needs to happen.
Absolutely. So in order to make this a compliant transaction, we have built a number of agents that can then do the quote validation. Since we are a company that is pharma and consumer health, we do a HCP, HCO check, data privacy check, among a number of other checks. So our goal is to go through the transaction and say, is this okay to process automatically, or does some human need to review this before allowing the purchase order to be created?
So I was talking to our designer when we were building this slide. He said, you're kidding me. They have to do this again and again and again. And obviously, he took some liberty in showing it again and again and again for every single requisition. So you see, how can it be when it's below threshold, you still have to do all these checks, how much effort it would be. So, but let's see that in action.
Yep, so this is an example of a step that we built with ORO. This is for reviewing the validation check. So this is with a quote that I uploaded, and on the right-hand side, we can see the overall result is auto process is fine, it can move forward. If the processor is curious, they could take a look here and say, can you explain more, what actually happened in the quote validation check? So here they could see the actual details, it compared the supplier name among a number of other fields. And then at the end of it, we then do a summary step. So I'm going to show you how I actually built this. So this wasn't something that ORO...
Can I pause you just for a second? The important thing is he built this AI agent that transforms that manual process into a 100% automated process. So show it to us how you built it.
Absolutely. So here's how we built this using ORO. So we have a number of checks, as I mentioned. And the way we build this actually is we set agent instructions. And again, this is all built by us using their platform. So on the right-hand side, you can see we explain to the AI what we want them to validate. So just as an example, on the right-hand side, you can see we ask it to compare the supplier name. And as part of this process of creation, ORO has this test functionality where we can actually test and say, okay, we just made this minor change. Does it actually yield the result that we want? So what I was showing you before, we have the supplier name, we do an expiration date check. One of the other things that we're now checking is what was the value of what the user uploaded versus what they created, right? So does it actually match what the extractor did? So this way we can catch someone adding a line item that doesn't match the supporting document.
So I think, one few things to add here, if you look at this, is, so they are dragging and dropping the agent in a very simple way. You can drag and drop wherever you like. You can select from an existing set of agents, or you can build a new agent from ground up. But the important thing that we want to deliver, and I believe that is the core functionality you should expect in an orchestration platform, is ability to innovate completely on your own. Some of the checks that Ryan showed, I couldn't have invented. I don't work in pharmaceutical company, as it turns out. They know their business a whole lot better than I do. Cool.
The point is, like sliced bread, you have to build your own sandwich. So you have to figure out for that particular job, for that particular task, how do we do it? So Ryan, that was a great example, but there's a whole bunch of other AI use cases that you guys are rocking, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we have a couple other use cases running. So one of them is direct materials price update. The category manager gets contacted by the supplier. There's a price change. They go into front door. They say, hey, please update this outline agreement. And the system actually goes and updates the outline agreement. So we handle things like price changes, scale pricing, payment terms, Incoterms, and changes like that. The next case that we're globally live with is supplier onboarding. So this is a way for business users and procurement to request new suppliers to be onboarded. Lastly, something that we're quite excited about is our first category-specific AI use case, which is guiding business users through software requesting. So the user could say, I need PDF software. It's going to try to recommend and say, this is already the existing software that you can use. Here's how to get it. Or it can actually walk them through the process of buying new software.
Cool. I think when we started working with pharmaceutical companies, CPG companies, what we learned is the spend is actually quite complex. The whole notion that buying a software should look the same as buying an R&D is not grounded in reality. Or buying MRO services should be same. So systems should accommodate this kind of variety of buying that you may have. And that's exactly what we learned, we have accomplished. So Ryan, thank you so much for coming on main stage and sharing this with us.
Thank you.
And all I can say is that it's been such fun partnering with Ryan and Bayer team. And any of you guys who are parents here, it's like Dr. Seuss. I really want to see next year all the places you will go. So that's the most exciting point about what AI can do right now.
So I think where we come to is we have to enable our users. AI has to be about not just automation. It is also about better decision making by the right people. Can we bring the information to the right people? Can AI do the work, which generally is kind of mundane, that AI actually can do a better job of? Can it help us scale? And we think this whole thing can go to the next level. Question is, where are we in the journey? We can talk about AIG, where all AI is going to replace all human beings and not sleep at all for next 25 days. What's going to happen to all of us? Call AIG. People believe in that, some of you, I don't. But reality is we are close to disjointed manual processes across many systems. We believe orchestration, when combined with the right AI technology, can help you in this journey. And I believe the reason to wait to say that my data is not clean, if a shared service operation person in India can figure out which is the right vendor record to use for a purchase order, I can tell you one thing, I bet you one thing, AI can. AI absolutely can. If shared service center with a small checklist can execute a checklist, so can AI. AI can do a whole lot more, but I'm just saying this is possible today. I believe where we are going towards is the world of agentic, where AI will do a whole lot more complex stuff. It will integrate with other agents. We all have heard of MCP and other stuff that's going on in the world. It will be able to leverage your enterprise data in a much smarter way. At ORO, we are using the graph technology to power our AI engine, because we believe graph, when combined with the AI, delivers the best possible solution for AI. That's the march we are towards. And this will solve much more complex problems than doing some simple checks.
So finally, my friend Matthias, he always tells me, hey, make it real, set the bar on how do you really put AI to work. And I think that this is the charter. It will deliver amazing user experience and, frankly speaking, kill the boring work. Okay, I really think it's time to hand off the boring work. We all are not complaining about vacuum cleaners, so AI is a little bit like that. Speed and trust is important and at scale, but at the bottom line, procurement loves this, show me the savings. You got to see the savings. And I want to leave this one thought with you. How do we go from human to AI? This is a practical checklist. Let's put AI to work, which means you start with experiment. You are able to have build a muscle and competence around how do you test and how do you get to trust. And it can be very data-driven. And so, if at all you're still in analysis paralysis, it's time to go. Let's put AI to work. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.